In the quiet moments before the world wakes up, there's a place where pain meets peace, where every breath feels like a prayer and grief stands still. We carry the weight of what was and search for meaning in the smallest things. And sometimes all it takes is one moment to remind us we're still here, still healing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. You guys know who it is. This is Tony Lynch. I am the host of this podcast, and yes, we are your number one podcast for bringing you stories around death, dying, and grief. All the messiness that comes in between with some amazing people out here doing some amazing things, changing people's lives one heartbeat at a time. Now, before we get started, I would like to say, if this is your first time tuning in, do me a favor, head on over to that YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And of course, you know what I'm saying, if you know anyone who could benefit from the conversations that we have, please share this along with them. Now, without further ado, let me just mention this. This is a live stream, so if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section. We'll be sure to answer them as we go. I'm pretty sure I said that before. Now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce my next guest, Miss Tara Porter, to the show. Tara, how are you doing today, my friend?
I am doing really well today, Tony. How are you?
I'm doing well. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited.
I'm excited as well. We was talking, we've been laughing and all kinds of things, and just getting ready for the day. And I'm really, really excited for it. Now, before we get started, do me a favor and introduce yourself to the audience. So tell people who you are, where you're from, and about the work that you do.
Okay. My name is Tara Porter. I'm from a small town called St. Mary's in Ontario, Canada. I have been a house designer for, I don't want to do the math anymore. I've been self-employed on my own, and I'm in my 15th year of my business. But I am also a grieving mom and daughter, and grief has played a huge part of my life. And I am finally to a space where I am sinking into it and really, I think, embracing the healing part of my grief journey and allowing it to be there. And on my Instagram platform, I have started sharing about my grief, my trauma, the feelings that surface with it, and finding joy along with it, because it's so important when you're grieving to know that grief and joy can coexist at the same time, and that does not change the loyalty of the love you have for your loved ones gone.
Yeah, that is very true, and I want to, as we go, I want to talk about that a little bit more, because I don't think people really understand that grief and joy can exist when you're grieving, when you're hurting, right? And it's okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? Oh, go ahead, please.
I was just going to, it's really hard in the beginning because you're just so heartbroken and sad. It's hard to think that I will ever find joy again in my life. And I think it's part of this is like, I'm in year 15 and 16 of my deep loss of, them. They are always gone. That heartbreak is always there, but there is hope that one day you will find that light inside of yourself again.
That's very true. That's very true. I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about your design work. How did you get into that? And then secondly, I want to ask, because I know a lot of people are into feng shui, right? And I talked to a young lady not too long ago where she uses feng shui as a way to help others deal with their grief, finding balance within their homes, right? And so I want to talk a little bit more about that, and I want to say thank you for the work that you do. I love the creative mind when it comes down to that, and you just do it on a larger scale. So I always find that fascinating because I love art and creating. So let's talk about, how did you get into doing design work?
So this is one of those not fluky, but when I would have been probably in grade 7, my parents had decided they were going to build a new house. My dad has had his own construction business for years. So they started looking at house plans, and we would drive around and look at houses. And I really was fascinated with it. And so when it was time to go to high school and pick my course selections, I took drafting as one of my first classes. And by the time I got to, partway through grade 12, when I went to high school, still it was normal to go for a fifth year, which here in Canada it was called our OAC year. So it was kind of in that time I knew I wanted to be. So here it was, the program I took was called architectural technology. Didn't want to be a full-fledged architect, but the technology portion was doing the drafting and designing work of that. So through that program I had taken, there was a co-op aspect of it, which you go and would get a 4-month work placement and you get paid for it. And I would learn so much more in those work terms than I ever would. You learn a bit in school, but you learn more hands-on when you're working.
That's very true.
And so from there, I worked for a couple different architects' offices, worked for a very brief stint at a construction company, a development where we, different house plans, and I would work with them on tweaking the plans of their, making changes to what they wanted on some models we had, and then would also help with selections. And then after my mom passed away, she had her own decorating business. My dad and husband both said, you'd be crazy not to take your drafting and design and take over your mom's business and go from home. And so I had time to think about it while I was on my maternity leave, but I dove in head first, and here I am.
I love that. I love that. Now, let's talk about your grief journey before I get into my next question. Let's talk about your experiences with this, and how did you find your aha moment to eventually look at all sides of what grief was trying to give you?
Okay. Well, the grief journey really started about 18 years ago. When my oldest son was about 2 weeks old, we found out my mom had a tumor in her back. And so she had surgery, and through testing, we found out she had multiple myeloma. So it's a blood type of cancer, but it causes your bones to fracture. So she had a tumor in her vertebrae. And that type of cancer was treatable, but not curable. So it was always present kind of in her blood work. And it just, when it would get to a certain level, she had to have a stem cell transplant. So 2007 was when she was diagnosed. And again, here in Canada, we get a 1-year maternity leave. I had opted to take 6 months because I actually didn't think I would be able to handle being at home. So there were very mixed emotions when I did go back to work at that point, but it was a good thing for me to have the balance of work-life balance, whatever that really is.
I know, right?
Right. She had a stem cell transplant in the fall of 2008. And that was really, really hard to watch her go through, because they basically give you a high dose chemo and watch you get as close to dead as you possibly can before you start to bounce back and grow new cells. I think in that time they figured she could get 5 to 10 years life expectancy after that. So it was it was hard watching her struggle through that. And then in the fall, it was about October of 2009, I was approximately 20 weeks pregnant with our middle child, a little girl. We found out she had problems in an ultrasound. She had fluid in her lungs and on her neck. So I was sent to a high-risk doctor in a high-risk department at a hospital close by. And I can remember being on the ultrasound table, and the radiologist comes in, and of course a bunch of other people come in. It was a teaching hospital. And he said, "Oh, I really wish you would have done the pre-screening testing. You're really nearing the end of your option for termination." And it felt like someone had picked me up and threw me across the room, because they didn't know what was going on. We ended up, some different tests back and forth, and they still really didn't know what was going on. But I remember my doctor saying, "We're just going to proceed, be cautiously optimistic." And things were going well. The fluid, she wasn't really retaining any. I'd go every 2 weeks and we'd have an ultrasound and I'd get a follow-up with the doctor. And then it was December 28th, that morning. I woke up and I hadn't really felt her move much. So I was trying to convince myself it was in my head, but we took a trip into the hospital. And over the course of the day, they did a few different ultrasounds and they just said, she's filled up with fluid. It's time for her to come out. So I had an emergency C-section. And the doctor had said, once they take the baby, we get the baby out, they're going to take her over to a room over in the corner and the NICU team is going to work on her. And once she's stable, Dad's going to be able to go over and be with her. So I was like, okay. And oddly enough, the entire time I'd felt the most insane level of calm I think I've probably ever felt in my life. Call it God, the universe, your higher self, whatever it was. I definitely know I was being held by love from above to not go into panic. And my husband eventually got called to go in. So I was like, okay, she's doing all right. And he came back in and he was bawling and he rested his head on my chest and he said, she's gone. And the entire time we were going through this process of, hospital trips back and forth, I would go down the anxiety spiral of I have a 2-year-old. Like, what am I going to do when we're in the hospital? I knew she was going to be born early, but never did I ever give myself the option. Like, it wasn't even a consideration that she would never be here. It was awful. Like, that is losing a child. I don't care if it's infant loss at whatever stage it is. It's its own level of hell on earth.
Yes.
And I definitely went, and I know I still do it, but I have questioned many, many times, what have I done in this life to deserve this? I felt like it was a punishment.
Yeah.
That I had done something. And then, as you start to pick up the pieces and you put one foot in front of the other, and I don't know, I sometimes say you fake it till you make it, because I still had a toddler at home that needed his mom. Got back into work and we moved, which it was kind of helpful to have a new set of walls to look at.
Yeah.
I will go back. Sorry, I'm just trying to get comfortable.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're totally fine.
Being at home, like when it was the day after she was born, I can remember the nurse coming in to see me and she said, do you want to hold your baby again? And I was like, oh, I can hold her again? She's like, yeah. It's like, oh, please, I would love to. And so they eventually bring her into me. And of course, she's got like multiple blankets on and a toque. And I take the hat off and I take the blankets off and I'm rubbing her head just like I did my first child. And I was like, oh, and I was so just in shock and out of it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, right. She's cold. She's in the morgue. Of course, they're trying to keep her warm. And when I got home, they had taken pictures for us as well at the hospital. And I'm so grateful that we've got those to look back on. And I laugh now as I say this and admit it, but I can remember looking at those pictures and thinking, oh, I wish I could have just brought her home and put her in the freezer so that every once in a while I could hold her, because I just wanted to hold my baby. Like, I mean, it is kind of laughable, but it's also like the reality of, couldn't it just stay like that? No, it can't. But yeah, so because she was a C-section, my doctors had said, if you can wait till close to, 18 months, at best 2 years until you between deliveries. So I was pregnant again late that fall, like November of 2010. And pretty much around the time that I found out I was pregnant, my mom's cancer kind of took a downward spiral for the worst. And she was supposed to have, it was a low, slow progressing type of cancer. And this time it was the cells were morphing at warp speed. And I think part of it was the level of steroids they had her on, but she was crossed between an Alzheimer's patient and a cancer patient. Like she just had that, the sunken eyes, the shallow, like she just kind of looked like she was half dead and so confused with everything. There were times she would pick up the remote control and have a full-on conversation with it, thinking she was talking to someone.
Oh,
so it's those moments where if you didn't laugh, you'd cry, right? Like there's some things that are just so funny when I look back to then. But it would have been the evening, it was December 22nd. That night I'd gone over to be with her. My dad was away for a bit. And I remember going into work the next day and I told my coworker, I'm like, I think this is my last Christmas with my mom. And she goes, why would you say that? I'm like, she's really sick. I don't think she's going to make it. And actually within a few hours of that, my phone had just lit up with many calls. She was at the hospital and they thought she'd had a stroke, which she didn't. But they knew her body was just shutting down. So she was, we're very lucky here in St. Mary's. We have a really small hospital. So we were able to bring her back to our hospital here in town. And she was set up in palliative care, that we could come and go as we needed. There were no set hours. We needed to be there. And shortly after 8:00 on Christmas night, she took her last breath. And I didn't know how I was ever going to be able to enjoy Christmas, let alone I was 3 days away from Harper. I call it her angelversary.
Yeah.
So here I was, 2 deaths that close together, and it shattered me.
Yeah. Most people, well, I'm not going to say most people, some people can't imagine doing that, having so many hit you back to back and having to still maintain a certain level of sanity, right? While your whole inside world is falling apart. People don't understand the strength that it takes you not to want to go out and be destructive as well as self-destructive, right?
Yeah.
But I want to ask this because I think it's important. Do you think that your family kind of grounded you in there, or did it take time to find that that lifeline with your family to be able to find the strength to pull yourself back?
That our family is really close, and for that we are so lucky. I think my aunt, and I'm regurgitating it, and not an absolute quote, but it's your friends and family. They're like, they pull up the rope, they pull up the reins to help keep you standing when you feel like you can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, there's pros and cons to living in a small community, but when people know you're hurting, it's, little things like bringing a meal over because you just don't even want to cook.
That I was totally different. People brought meals over, and I was just I would be nice enough to let them bring it into the house and
But you didn't
things
want
like
it.
that. But I didn't want it. I didn't want
It's
to
funny,
be
right?
honest with you. I
Yeah.
didn't want anything at all.
Yeah, that's fair.
My first instinct, about 2 days after my son passed away, was to just pack up and leave, right? And not the conventional pack up. I was just going to take a backpack, put a few pants in there, shirts, the essentials that I need, and jump in my car and just take off and leave everything behind. And but there was also a part of me that just didn't have the strength to do it.
Yeah.
I just didn't have, like, as you said, finding that happy, finding that joy within everything. Just like how you mentioned earlier, I didn't think that I was ever going to find it, right? Um, and what I realized was that when I first experienced the emotional pull of grief, I realized that it was mixing certain things in there to help me smile, right? Once in a while. So I would find myself going, just out of the blue, just laughing because I would think about something that my son did. Like, say for instance, I love sharing this story right here. It's one of the most funniest ones I've had because I still can't believe that I did it. Right. So one of the stories that I that hold on to I used to have this blackberry bush in front of my home, right? And I planted it there for my son because he loved blackberries, and I didn't want to keep running back and forth to the store. And then, spring and summertime months, the things grew about yay big, and he would go out there and just come back in and face me all different colors and stuff like that. And I would just look at him, I would laugh. Well, this summer, the spring coming in, flowers are starting to bud. The bees are outside, right? And you can hear them from the window. And my son, he kept looking out the window. Now, I'm a young man myself, still kind of childish. Okay, well, no, I'm not kind of. I'm still childish,
Aren't we all?
but I know not to play with bees. Okay, when you've been stung by bees so many times, you're like, maybe I shouldn't go play with the bees, right? So I'm watching my son, and I can see the wheels turning in his head, and so he looks back at me, and this is the story that he tells me: Dad, can I go outside and play with my friends? Not knowing that I have the door open. Your friends are not outside. I know what you're doing, right? But I didn't say that because he thinks he's smart. So I go, yes, baby boy, you can go outside and you can play with your friends. Now, what I didn't realize is that all of his friends were looking out the windows to see who was coming outside first. Yeah, yeah. So they eventually get together. He goes over, he talks to him, and I can see him plotting, and they're all looking at the bush because the berries are starting to come in. And he goes, I'll be right back. And he comes over and I tell him, I said, Bubba, leave the bees alone. They're going to get you. Oh, Dad, I'm not going to mess with them. Not even 30 seconds, Tara. Not even 30 seconds. And I saw him. I was watching him out the window. He's over there trying to grab the berries off. And I tell him again, baby boy, leave the berries alone. They're not ready. The bees are going to get you. And I turned around and I closed the door. And I locked it too. I sure did. And so about 10 seconds go by, I can hear him screaming and running, right? Dad, 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 right? Now, me being the type of person, parent that I was, you're going to have to learn a valuable lesson on this one. I'm not going to help you. You might as well keep running. Don't come in the house. So when he started screaming my name, I opened up the big door and I took the screen door and I locked that one. And he's running around. I said, no, keep running, right? You're not bringing that in the house. Just keep running. I told you, you're on your own now. And he's running. I closed the door and I can hear him and his friends out there running around, screaming and carrying on. That went on for about 2 minutes. Then afterwards, I heard a knock on the door. Dad, Dad, I got stuck. I was like, yeah, well, throw some dirt on it. You'll be all right. So that was one of very many memories that I had in those moments in my most hurtful times that I would sit down and just have a little chuckle at it. But it was the mix of the hurt and the feeling of being lost.
Yeah.
What often mixes itself in with it. So I was really conflicted because I didn't know what it was, right? I didn't know what it was. I didn't know that it was going to be such a vital part of my life, right? And the love that I have for it now, and I'm thankful for it, right? I'm thankful for the experience of it because I realized that grief is just it's a very deep experience that you have with everyone around you and everything around you because whether if it's an insect or a tree, um, we all experience this at some point in time,
Yeah.
right? So my question to you would be, what was one of the memories, or what was one of the memories that really stood out to you, that made you laugh, and the people just looked at you like, what's going on with you, right? But it made you feel good.
Gosh, there's so many. My mom was a character.
I love that.
She really was. I think one I thought of often because it really wasn't, it was only about, 4 years, I guess, before she had passed away. But before I got married, we had a stag at night and we did an amazing race,
Mm-hmm.
dressed up in silly costumes and went and did different things and this and that. And we ended up back at my parents' house and had a dance party there. But before we stopped at a local bar, went in and had a drink. And as we came out, my mom all of a sudden had a wig on and she's laying on her back, arms and legs up in the air, dancing to Earl Had to Die. And we're all dancing in this parking lot like a bunch of buffoons. But there's, white pants on, a light sweater, doesn't care, dancing away with this wig and just full on being silly. And we get back to my parents' house and we get into the living room and she rolls up the area rug and she throws it over the stairs and she says, "Okay, it's time to roll up a rug and dance, ladies." We just had a dance party the rest of the night.
Okay. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about using your design experience in helping finding balance in your grief journey.
Ooh. I guess part of it was the fact that I was self-employed. It gave me flexibility with my kids.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, sometimes self-employment in that design world, sometimes I would find I would work too much. But I would have these creative outlets it's great to work on a brand new house and be designing a brand new house, but I've always loved when you have to think outside of the box and do an addition on a home or do drawings where you want to make it look intentional and not just slap something together.
Hmm.
So it would give me an opportunity to think about something else other than my grief.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. I want to say thank you to people, to everyone who's tuning in on Instagram. My friend Ann, my sister Ann, and I think there's a few of them in there. We got Grief Coach Lynn in there. We got Darkness to Strength, Castaway Maine. We got Messy Meaningful, Full Motherhood. Join. Guys, you know what I'm saying? If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section. We'll be sure to answer you. If you have not already, do me a favor, head on over to their YouTube channel and subscribe to the channel, right? You know what I'm saying? And that way you'd be notified every time we drop a new episode because we're going to be doing them on a regular basis now. So don't want to miss anything, right? You know what I'm saying? And you guys already know we having some amazing conversations with some amazing people. Um, my question or my thought would be, we talk about finding joy within the pain,
Yep.
right? Within our grieving journey. What was the moment that it clicked for you that it was possible to have both at the same time?
I mean, there's different levels of it over the course
Mm,
of these years. Probably, the July of 2011, so 7 months after mom had passed, I gave birth to our youngest child. So again, and even that, like I had a 3-year-old at home with me. So he was my joy when I felt like I had nothing. Um, the snuggles, the laughs. So it was, my children were my biggest source of joy.
mhm.
Um, Leading into that first Christmas without my mom, my husband said, "You know what? We're having a Christmas open house Christmas Eve day." And I was like, "Screw that. I don't want to be around anybody. Like,
Yeah,
leave me alone. I
yeah.
want to be alone in this." But the closer we were getting to that day, the more my son would go to kindergarten every other day. So I'd have one day at home with the baby and one day at home with both kids. So the days I was just home with the baby and didn't have a little 4-year-old around, the tears were often.
Yeah.
So having that Christmas open house, and it wasn't a huge thing, but it was mostly family and friends to just come and love on us. And that was the best thing in the world that I could have had. And I know that even before mom had died, like she had said to me, you need to find a way to celebrate Harper's birthday when it comes around. And of course, she was well-meaning by it. And it's the best thing she probably ever said to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I snapped at her and I said, why? What's there to celebrate? There's not even a life here to have. And I really feel shitty when I think about that now still, because she just meant love by it. And what we've celebrated, it's changed over the years how we've celebrated. But when the boys were really little, we would bake a cake together or cupcakes, or a few times when they were old enough, we would go to the movies together and then have a little celebration. What I've started doing the past probably 5 or 6 years is I call it a random act of kindness day. I'll go into a bakery and pay for a cake that somebody's ordered as a surprise for, here's your cake. It's this birthday celebration. Sending love to somebody that they don't know how much love there is attached to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's been through, I mean, I'd said earlier, where my mom threw up the rug and let's have a dance. Like, we would always have little kitchen dance parties. The music was always a staple in our house growing up. Not that we were musically inclined and could sing, but
we're not even going. We'll talk about it because I think we're going to make fun of each other. Okay.
But a good kitchen dance party. So when you'd start to have, if it was a kitchen dance party on my own or with some friends, or for a handful of years after that original Christmas open house, the Saturday before Christmas, we would have a party. We called it the Celebrate Tracy Christmas Party. And then the one year the house was pretty packed and we were like, okay, I think this is enough of this.
That is totally understandable.
We can pivot our celebrations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I love that, right? Because you're still finding the little things that that keeps you connected, right?
Yeah.
But also, you're sharing it with your family. Now, I got my next question would be, because this is one that a lot of parents that may have experienced similar things may struggle with. But finding the balance between dealing with the losses that you have, but also trying to help your children navigate that, as well as being supported by your mother, because that's a whole different thing when you actually think about it, right? Because you're still trying to be strong because you have other children that you have to take care of, right? And you're not, and I'm not saying that but a lot of people don't get that support from their spouses, because men and women would grieve very, very differently. And there's a huge communication gap when it comes down to that. And what I mean by that, me as a man, I had to learn how to articulate what's going on with me. And when you don't understand it, you don't have the words. So silence is I go to, or either anger. And what people see is someone who is very irritable, frustrated, and things like that. But on the outside looking in, you don't have the answers to what's actually going on. So how did you navigate that world of motherhood, being a wife, but also finding your place back within a home with your new role as griever?
In the beginning, I didn't do it gracefully by any means.
That's true.
And to be honest, that's what I've been working on a lot the last couple of years through therapy, is giving myself forgiveness, grace, and self-compassion for the version of me I was then, who was doing the best she could, but still feels guilty as hell for how it was. You kind of nailed it when you said it's the anger and all of it. Like, I would often have volcanic eruptions. Like, I would shove my grief down and be like, okay, I can't do this. This can't be here right now. I don't have time for you. So you've got to go down and go away because I just don't want to do it. And instead of showing up in sadness, it often showed up in angry outbursts, snapping, biting people's
Mhm.
heads off. And unfortunately, the ones that took the brunt of that were the ones closest to me.
Yeah.
My husband being one of them. And, we struggled with communication. We didn't want to talk about it with each other because we didn't want to make the other one. It was like we didn't have the capacity to keep it together, and he didn't want to fall apart in front of me. And it was hard for him to see me so sad.
Mhm.
So we definitely pulled apart for the longest time, and there was resentment between the two of us. And I've learned that resentment, all it really is, it's the other person wanting them to grieve the same way we are, but
Mhm.
not being able to articulate that.
Mm. I love that, because the hardest part with not understanding the experience of grief is learning to put a language to it, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we get very, very sheltered when we go around people because two things, and when I say this, I'm only speaking from my experience when I say this. I've one I knew that I had a understanding that my role in people's lives was to be the strong one. So I don't have time to be weak. And the
Yeah.
way that I was taught when I was a kid, emotions will get you killed. You're not here to express your emotions. You're here to protect and protect those that are closest to you. So it didn't matter where I was, whether if I was on the streets game banging or around my sisters or just around people in general. I was the one that's always standoffish. Didn't matter what I was going through. I'll deal with it. This is my job. I have to man up, right? Because no one cares about what you're going through, Tony. So you know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to suck this up. But now I say that to say this because after my son passed away, everybody that I was around, the young men and things like that, that I was already um helping, right, navigate their little world, so they can have a different perspective on life. They gave me 2 days and came right back. Tony, I know that I know you're going through something, but I need you
Yeah.
to take on what I'm going through right now. And I would push aside everything that I was going through just so I can be there with that person, because in a way, for me, it was like if I'm there for this person over here, maybe they don't have to hurt the way that I do, right? And this
Yes.
is my role. This is what I'm built for, right? I'm built for war and protection. This is so, and I believe that, right? And it's still to this day, I still believe it. That I still believe that I was built for tough times. I was built to carry pain, so that became my norm, right? I didn't know anything else outside of that. Right? I had a brief moment of 8 years of understanding what it's like to be unconditionally loved by my child, but outside of that, no, right? And I really understood later on it's because I carried a lot of trauma with me that I had walls up that I would not let people into. And so, I carried that role with me until after my mother passed away 2 years after, and I gave up because I didn't understand what it was trying to do. I didn't understand what the gift that it was trying to give me. And to be honest with you, um, as you mentioned before, I had a few choice words for the creator. And I say creator because not everybody believes in the same thing, but
Yeah.
most of us believes that there's a creator in the world, right? And I believe that the I didn't think I was equipped for this life because I was like everything I try has been taken away from me. What am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
What direction do you want me to continue fighting? Because I can do that, right? As long as I got something physical in front of me, I'm going to destroy or it's going to destroy me. But this was something different that I didn't understand. It was, as they say, unfamiliar territory.
Yeah.
Right? And when you're so used to a physical fight, you know exactly what you need to do. But when you're in a mental and emotional or a spiritual fight, it takes on a different meaning because now the battle is not physical, it's mental. And once the mental is already entangled into it, it could take you any direction that you want to. And every thought that you have contributes to that path that you're on. Now, again, when I say this, this is not everybody. This is just my experience going through that and trying to figure out how to navigate that. So, and I know people struggle with that. What are your thoughts and your opinions on that right there?
I mean, if I, yeah, the male perspective of I need to stay strong, I need to be the wall, I need to take this. And what I want to try and teach my boys, it's okay and it's good to feel.
Yeah.
We don't need to put up the front that everything's okay. But I mean, even myself, I did that. You learn very quickly that, oh, it's better for other people if I put on a smile and I fake that, oh yeah, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, because then that makes people feel better. But in doing so, we leave ourselves
Mm,
to help, like to make someone else feel. That's what I've done. And I think that's because of my trauma.
yeah. Yeah.
I've left myself because that's all I know. How can I make it better for you?
Yes. Yes. And
But also the part where you said, you wanted to go and help out this other person. We want to help others, one, because then we don't have to think about our own shit we're going through. That can get tucked away safely and put aside.
mm-hmm.
But also you want to help someone because you don't want them to feel the depth of the hurt that you're going through. If you can save anybody from that. And, ultimately at the end of the day with grief, it's just not possible to save somebody from that pain, but to see them and witness them in it.
I love that you said that, right? Because that when I got into this field, that was one of the things that I kept in the back of my mind and my heart. When I began to meet other men like myself, right? It was such an honor and a privilege to witness, right? Not just what they're going through, but watching their transformation.
Yes.
With the right type of guidance, right?
Yes.
And that's why I said I love coaching, right? Because it's not like I'm giving you the tools to do the work. Like I have nothing to do with this. This is all on you. And to see people go, I can't do this, to go, thank you for another chance for me to be a better version of myself with my family. Because now I can take this and really appreciate this journey, this experience, right?
Yeah.
And maybe have a little extra excitement when I see my kids, when I see my parents, or see my friends on a day-to-day basis. You begin to change the way you speak to them. And I have a saying, and I'm still embedding myself within it. Say what you need to say to the people that are in your life now, because tomorrow's not promised. You may not get the opportunity to do it. So allow me to give you your flowers, because when you're gone, I don't want to. I don't want to have to sit back and go, I should have said this, or I would have, should have, would have did this, right?
Yeah.
So I make it a point to, when I do get the chance to talk to my peers and my family and things like that, the first thing I go is that I love you,
Yeah.
right? I want this to be the first thing that I say to you, but also the last thing that I say to you as well, just in case if tomorrow's not promised, right? And I want to talk and be goofy with you throughout the whole time, because that's part of the experience. Whether it be my last day here, I want you to be able to look back on these conversations and laugh. And if it's your last day here, I want to be able to do the same. But
Yeah.
I don't want to keep the pieces of you here when you're better served in where you're going. Because if I keep pieces of you here, there's going to be pieces of you that's going to be missing when you get to your destination.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be selfish in holding that in there, because the way I experienced you, I want others to experience the totality of who you are as well. Now, again, these are just things that I use in order to keep me centered,
Yeah.
and present
I
with
call it
others.
building the toolbox, the tools in the
Yeah, yeah,
toolbox.
that toolbox is something fun, ain't it?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, sometimes, sometimes what I do, I go in my toolbox and I pull out a wrench and I throw it at people.
If
You
you can
know,
dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. That's from a movie.
we ain't gonna tell them that though, because that's not my phrase when I throw it. It's just like, here, take this. I really don't want you to dodge. I want you to get hit right upside your head, and you have to turn around and go, "Did you just throw that?" And I'm gonna
No.
blame somebody else. I'm like, me? Yeah, I look like that. I would throw a wrench at your head. I mean, if you answer yes, you're probably right, but I'm going to deny it, and I'm going to point to the other person. Like, I don't care if this person is three. Okay, this person did it. That's more of a reason for them to throw it at you anyway,
Yep.
right? It's funny, right? We do have a question up here from LinkedIn, and I want to say, Kelly McDonald, thank you for tuning in. And it's more of a statement than anything. And I want to get your thoughts on this. It's tough when we hurt the ones we love, because they are the closest to our eruptions.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is
It's
that is
a
right.
hard truth bomb right there.
Yeah, yeah. That's like we never really pay attention to it, but it's the statement, hurt people, and the closest people to you are the ones that catch the brunt of it, because in a sense, and I could be wrong when I say this, but in a sense, it's like you trust this individual because you do have some sort of rapport with this individual, so you're more comfortable with those outbursts, in hopes that they understand,
Yeah.
right? But when you're the blunt of that uppercut and that throat punch and
Doesn't feel.
everything, it's kind of really hard not to take it personal, you know. Now I could be wrong. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean,
Dodge,
I'm
dip,
even
duck, dive, and dive. So we had somebody too. We had my friend and my sister tuning in on Instagram, and she says, "Dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge." Exactly, dodgeball.
yeah,
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a
you can
ball.
dodge a ball. I say it often around here. Um, yeah, my husband, my kids, they would take those browns and they didn't deserve it. And it was when I started to hear the harshness come back and the way they would address each other, like my kids specifically, I was like, ooh,
Mm,
I hear myself there. And that's not cool. You need to figure it out here, girl.
mm,
Um, that was when started to dig deep into the how can I support myself so my kids don't turn into these angry little beasts. Not that they were angry, but just I definitely saw in my youngest more than my oldest how my dysregulation affected him.
mm. I
He's,
want to add to that as well,
yeah,
because I don't think. Well, I think yes, but I think there's more to it as well, because we often, as they say, grief is such an individual experience, right?
yeah,
It's real easy for us to block people out and personalize that, and forget that there's other individuals that's being affected by it as well, because depending on the relationship that you have with the individual that has passed away, will determine how personal you feel connected to it, right? And since we all have different experiences with each other, it's real easy to go, well, this person, they like me the most because this is what we did, not understanding that each experience was your own personal experience with this individual, and it is to be respected when people are just sharing that with you, because you're not going to see the same things that they saw, and you're not going to have the same relationship that they have with that individual. But when you have so many that have this strong emotion, it's easy to bump heads because you want it to be about you,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm saying? You definitely want it to be about you. Like, no, you don't understand. Like, you know what I'm saying? The way that, and I let people just go. When they start saying, I this and I that, you know what? You have every right to do that. And I want you to do that. As a matter of fact, my job now that I understand, my job is to be present with you, be in this moment with you, to allow you to navigate this without any sort of judgment or interruption, you know, and we'll figure it out as we go, right? We don't have to figure it all out at one time. We can take our time. We can walk through this. My goal is to make sure that you know that you're not by yourself.
Yes.
You're not alone, because up here and in here you can feel alone when the world just became that much larger for you. You know, when you're
Yes.
missing people that you love, the world becomes a very, very big place, and it's easy to get lost in it, right?
Yeah.
And you know, and it's good to have people around you that go, you know what? No matter what, I'm still sitting here with you,
Yeah.
still sitting here with you. Which leads me to my next question, because you've done some amazing things as well, right? You got a book that you're working on. Let's
Yeah,
talk
baby.
about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it now.
So I guess I'm going to lead into the book with what I've been doing on Instagram. And part of that is embarrassing my children. Every
Ooh,
Friday, I post
ooh, okay,
called
okay.
on Fridays, Let's Dance.
Oh, see,
And part of the
mm,
fun is nobody knows what the song's going to be or the theme. Sometimes I'm dancing in my kitchen. Sometimes I am dressed. I mean, in the summer, I dressed up like Cher. Um, Sometimes I'm dancing with people. I'm bringing in community, but there's always what I started doing. It was a moment for me to pivot the mood and lift some heaviness I was feeling. And one day I just randomly said, post it, shared it on my story. And
okay.
people were like, please, please, please make this regular content. I need this. And I need to be very clear. It's not like I took any sort, like I was not any sort of dancer. I am not a choreography dance. Like this is, you know, Elaine from Seinfeld.
Hmm.
There's a little bit more of Elaine from Seinfeld, legs flailing, arms flailing.
Oh,
We're moving and it's often entertaining. And I will sometimes really be just laughing at myself. And it's like, share it because everybody can use a laugh. But what
so,
I've started doing is using it as an opportunity to share my journey in finding joy in the grief.
okay.
Learning that when I would in the past, I would be like, oh my gosh, why am I still crying about this? Why aren't you over it? And then it's the realization of you never get over grief.
No.
Your heart expands so that you can learn to live with it. Your life circle gets bigger because the grief becomes almost all encompassing.
Very true.
And in these Friday moments of finding joy, other people are finding joy, whether it's they look forward on their Friday coffee of what is this crazy girl going to do today? How is she going to make us laugh? Because she does. And in that, I've been connected with Michelle Jewsbury. She's, I can't even think of the not-for-profit she has right now. So my apologies, Michelle, for this little flip. But she just released volume 3, Breaking the Silence, Voices of Survivors. So I'm going to be an author for volume 4. Her first 3 volumes have all been Amazon bestsellers.
Love that.
In this, she's shared her own story through trauma. But it's when we share our story, when we share our journey, we give hope to others that you can find a way through it. It's not moving it over, it's moving with it and giving hope to someone who is in, especially the first couple years of their grief or trauma journey, where it feels like you're at the bottom of the pit and there's not a ladder there and you're trying to climb up the rocks and you're falling down and you're scraping yourself, but you'll eventually find that light again. And I found my light.
See, I love that. I love that because you're a lot braver than me. I don't dance.
Again, I
for the
didn't
simple
say it
fact,
was pretty. I didn't say it was pretty.
yeah, see, I'm right there with you, right? I think if I was to record my dancing, I think I would be halfway through the songs and the would be at my door, like, who did you assault? Right? I'm 6'4", almost 300 pounds, but I'm tall and lanky, and
Yeah.
it's not a good look for me. It's not a good look. Okay. It's like having a scarecrow stuck on a stick, and only thing he wants to do is just move around, but the wind kind of takes him this way and takes him that way. Well, let's just say I don't need no wind to go this way and that way. When I start moving, just move out the way. I ain't got no time for assault charges, or trying to explain why the kid got a black eye or something. I ain't got time for all of that stuff. I don't. So I would say thank you. I'm gonna let you dance and do your thing. Okay.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I can do it on the wall. I can dance on the wall. It's safer.
Yeah.
I'll be on the wall, like, on the wall. I can jam. In the chair, I can move it. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes dancing is really great too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like the little lemur off of Madagascar. I like to move it. But we ain't gonna talk about that, though. We ain't gonna talk about that. But no, this is exciting.
Yeah. I know.
Everyone else,
sometimes dancing can really just shift the mood, shift the weight. Like if I felt emotion surface that's negative, and I can connect to what it's wanting to tell me, and I can move through it. And sometimes I scream and have a really great cry, and then I can go right into laughing if I put on the right song.
Yeah. See, I'm glad that you can get away with that, right? I try to do that with my emotions, and my emotions come back and go, "Oh, you think it's funny? You think it's funny, huh? Wait till I tell on you." And I'm like, "Who you telling on? You, my emotions." It's like, you don't understand. I know somebody, and I'm like, you know what? I ain't got time for all of this. I ain't got time for it. You go ahead and do you. Send me an email. We'll talk about it. Okay? But that's just me. That's just me. No, I think it's pretty cool. I really do. I think it's pretty cool. And as we begin to wrap this up and everything, tell the people how they can find you.
I'm on Instagram, Tara Porter Official. I'm on Facebook. What is that under? I think just Tara Porter. And I'm also on TikTok as the dancing designer.
Okay, I'm gonna have to find you, because I'm gonna go out there while you dancing. I'm gonna type in something like, yeah, and that's all I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna put it, think you special. I'm running around here dancing and carrying on, because I will. I got nothing else better to do except for mess with people. So, but don't tell nobody, right? You know what I'm saying? Because I like to be incognito and everything. So now. My next question would be, if you could leave the audience with something, what would you leave them with?
Just be gentle to yourself.
I love that.
Give yourself compassion. Give yourself grace. Talk to yourself like you would your best friend. We are our own worst critics.
We are.
Right? We're hard on ourselves. If you're grieving, give yourself a hug and allow what surfaces to be there. Because great pain is just, and great grief is just great love.
It's very true. I love that. I got one more question for you.
Bring it.
If Tara had a superpower, what would it be?
Well, I often say, do you remember the show The Care Bears?
Oh, don't you do it.
The Care Bear stare.
The Care Bear stare.
How I explain it, I lost my light. Grief shattered me. I have come back into my wholeness of who I am. and my light is shining out. There are broken parts still in there, but they're glued together with glitter and gold. And that light, that heartbroken light now shines through more profound because it shines through the glitter. So my Care Bear stare, I share my light.
I love that. And you have such a bright, beautiful light as well. And the world should be able to see that and be able, and guys, go and follow her on her social medias. If you guys enjoy this conversation, you guys are going to enjoy everything that Tara's putting out there. You know what I'm saying? Dance, laugh, connect. And for everybody on here who has a podcast as well, and you guys already know who you are, reach out to her, right? You know what I'm saying? You guys are going to enjoy having her on your show and everything. And so now, and with that being said, Tara, I want to say we got to do a part two whenever we get a chance to, and we're going to be doing so much more as well. I need to look. I'm getting on everybody else for following you on your social medias, and I need to get on top of that as well.
Well, likewise, we clued in earlier that I wasn't even following you.
See how rude of us. How rude of both of us. See how it works out.
Do better.
We have to. We're definitely gonna have to do better. But no, this has been a lot of fun, and I would love to be able to do it again, and and so many other things as well. And for everybody out there who have been tuning in, this is your first time tuning in, head on over to their YouTube channel. Look, we are 300 away from 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. Let's make that happen. Okay, let's get more people out there. Let's share it across your platforms. And as always, if you know anyone who can benefit from the conversations that we have, please share this along with them. But also, I don't know if you guys notice or not, but I know some of you guys do. But I do have another YouTube channel, The Adventures of Grief Guys. So if you guys want to follow those adventures, it's a graphic novel. We got music up there. Everything, we're doing everything to help you see grief differently, right? And but also, take you on some pretty wild adventures as well. So go over there and check that out. And I have some more episodes out for you guys. Tara, I want to say thank you again for tuning in. Oh, another exciting announcement. So you guys know that I have the magazine, and where that magazine is growing 50 million plus a month that we're reaching. Come see what the hype is about. Come and see the events that we have going on across the world, connect with other podcasters, but enjoy the articles that's in there as well. And we're just going to keep growing, Tara, again, thank you for being on the show today. Such an amazing conversation. Love your smile. We got the chance to laugh. You took us on this amazing adventure. And I know you got so much more that you got going on. For everyone else, again, what I'm saying? I want to say thank you for tuning in to another episode of Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. Tara, please just hold on a minute while we close this one out. And
thanks for having me, Tony.
I got another episode coming up at 2:00. Going to be amazing. So just to give you a heads up, the tragedy just happened over in the Bronx 3 days ago. Murder suicide. I'm going to be talking to that young man's family today as they share their experience and what they're going through and their advocacy that they're doing for mental health, right? So tune in for that 2 p.m. Mountain Time, which is pretty much in another hour. But also, follow us on all our social medias. And with that being said, guys, we're going to close out this episode of the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. Again, thank you to my guest, Tara, for being on here. And we're going to see you guys in the next one. All right. Peace. Have an amazing day.